Debbie. I am with the Dayton Liederkranz German Club in Dayton, Ohio. Today, the focus for the Volkstänzer lesson will be strengthening and stretching. One thing to always remember is to always consult with a doctor before you start any exercise or stretch routine. Some of the exercises that would be good and beneficial for dancers and in life in general will be, we're going to cover doing a neck stretch, a standing hamstring stretch, a tricep stretch, butterfly stretch, a shoulder squeeze, calf stretch, how to do a wall sit for strengthening, and calf raises. So the first one that I'm going to demonstrate is a neck stretch. So neck stretch is good for strengthening, and when your neck is tight, it's good to do a neck stretch. To do this, I typically start on the right side, so you can drop your right ear to your left, or to your right shoulder. If I get my sides correct here. You want to hold that for about 10 seconds, and then gently bring your head up, and then move your head, tilt your head to the left, toward your left shoulder, and hold that again for about 10 seconds. You can go back and forth, gently go back and forth, and you can repeat this about 5 times. I'm not counting very well in my head, but typically you'd want to hold the stretch for about 10 seconds on each side. I'm only going to do 3 on each side. When you're doing this, you also want to make sure you are standing up straight. So you want your feet to be hip distance apart beneath your, so you're in a straight line. Similar to what we talk about when we're dancing. You're still having your posture and making sure that you've got good posture. The next stretch is a hamstring stretch. This stretch is also great for your neck, your back, your glutes, your hamstrings, and your calf muscles. So with this, you're going to start standing up tall with your feet about hip distance apart, and you're going to bend your knees slightly and rest your arms at your side. Now for this, I'm going to back up so you move this down so you can see. My paper with my instructions slide up front, sorry about that. So with this, what you want to do is, I'm going to turn a little bit to the side. So your feet are going to be hip distance apart. And as you do your stretch, your hands are going to be at your side. If you're not 100% sure how to do the stretch, definitely always protect your lower back so you can do the stretch. Again, your knees are slightly bent. You're going to bend forward at the waist. You can have your arms go down your legs. And then as you're bending, you'll eventually want to move your head straight down, have your head down towards your feet. Now I'm going to bring up the other monitor. I'm going to try and remember how to bring up the other monitor. There we go. Alright, so for this stretch, do this again, and this way you can see hopefully the upper and lower portion as I'm doing this. Again, your feet will be hip distance apart, kind of offset here so you can see this. Keep your hands at your side, and as you bend forward, again, if you're unsure how this is going to work or help on your back, definitely leave your hands on your legs and gently move your hands down your legs as you're doing this stretch. Ultimately, the stretch, if you're doing this stretch and you're flexible enough, I'm going to bend my knees really great here. Ultimately, you should be able to bring your arms behind your legs and connect them. I still need to work on my flexibility, So that's not something I'm able to do quite yet. And as you are bending forward again from the waist, you can drop your neck down so that you also got a little bit of a stretch in your neck. You can hold this for anywhere from 10 seconds to 3 minutes. It depends on how it feels for you. You don't want to go too far, you just want to feel some stretching in the backs of your legs, back of your calf, back of your leg. Not too much of a strenuous exercise and stretch. When you're ready to come out of this stretch, because you have had your head down, you'll want to bend at your knees, and then again, until you know how this will work with you, use your hands on your legs to bring you up and down. So again, you go forward with your head down. When you're ready to come out of this stretch, bend at your knees. This gives you more of a leverage, and come up. The next exercise, I will bring up just the one solo camera again. This is a tricep stretch. So with the tricep stretch, this helps the area of this is an area that is a lot of times overlooked. So when you're doing it, a lot of people overlook actually stretching their arms. So for this one, again, you will stand with your feet hip distance apart. You'll stand up straight. You can start by having both arms straight up. You can start with whichever arm you prefer. Bend your right or left arm so your hand is behind your back. And then bring your other hand down around your elbow and gently apply a little bit of pressure with your other hand to pull your arm back so that you're wanting to feel the stretch in your tricep. And again, you need to remember to stand up straight. You don't want to slouch forward or back. You can hold it for about 10 seconds and then switch arms. You also want to make sure that your head is up straight so that you're not pushing, you don't want your arm pushing your head forward. And again, you're just doing a gentle pressure on your arm. You can use just one finger, you don't have to have the whole hand on there. Just do gentle pressure on your arm in order to get a good stretch on your tricep. You can repeat that, and you can go back up, repeat that again, as often as you would like. Hold it for about 10 seconds on each side. I'm not doing it 10 seconds for this demo. Remember to keep standing up straight. Don't let your hips be pushed forward, and don't let your head be pushed forward or look down. So you want to look straight ahead. Again, you're still wanting to pretend like when you're dancing and you've got that string coming up out of the top of your head, where your body is in a straight pendulum type. So your body is up straight, sorry. I am going to switch back to the other monitor. I'm going to get this on the correct one. There we go. Okay, so this next exercise, apologize for that. This exercise is a butterfly stretch. So for this one, it's a simple stretch that will help stretch your hips, your glutes, your back, and your thighs. To do this one, you'll want to sit on the floor. Again, be careful getting down onto the floor. With the butterfly stretch, I'm going to kind of angle myself so you can see this, hopefully. You will bring the soles of your feet together. You can gently pull your legs in and hold onto your feet. Or if you're unsure, you can also, if you have a towel or a resistance band, you can also use that to put around your feet. If you're not able to reach your feet and as you're sitting up, that way you can use that as a little bit of a resistance if you're not able to actually reach your feet. So bring your feet in to a point that is comfortable for you. your knees are out to the side, but you don't want to put any pressure directly on your knees. And then with this, what you're going to do, what you do with this one is you gently lean forward. And again, you're bending from your lower back, so you can hold your feet in whatever position. I tend to flare my elbows out a little bit. At that point, what I do is then put my arms gently on my legs, and that gives a little bit more of a stretch on the inner thighs. You don't want to stretch too far forward or push too much down on your legs and have it hurt. You're just wanting to feel a stretch where it just you kind of get that feeling of, this feels good. You can hold anywhere from 10 to 20 seconds, and then release, and then you can do the stretch again. You do not want to do any kind of bouncing with your hands on your legs. You want to hold the stretch. You don't want to be bouncing, kind of show like this. You don't want to be doing any kind of bouncing like this by pressing down, up and down on your legs. You just want to hold the stretch. You also would not want to do bouncing forward. Again, you're just holding your stretch for about 10 seconds, or up to 30 seconds or 20 seconds, whatever feels good for you, and then release out of your stretch. With this, you can do this as many times as you like. I prefer to do this stretch probably 5 or 6 times. The next stretch is a shoulder squeeze. With this stretch, you can actually do this seated in a chair or on your couch or chair. Have your legs up and your feet on the ground. This is also a very good exercise for stretching the front of your legs if you are not very flexible, and I really need to work on my flexibility because I can't get my feet flat on the ground. With this stretch, you'll be sitting up straight, and it's a shoulder squeeze, so you're going to bring your hands behind your back. I'm going to turn so you can see my hands behind my back and angle this way. So you have your hands behind, able to grab your hands behind your back. As you're sitting up straight, you can use a towel or a resistance band and use that to connect your hands in the back. Eventually, the goal would be to be able to interlace your fingers, and stretch your arms back. And this will pull your shoulder blades back. Again, you're sitting up straight as you're doing this, and you can pull your arms back. If you can't reach all the way, you can, if you're able to connect your hands but not put your palms together, you can stretch with your palms open and stretch back. Again, you're kind of pushing your shoulders back and down as you're sitting up. If you're able to connect your hands, that's great. There are other yoga poses that you can do with that. I need to continue to work on my flexibility in order to do that. You want to just hold that pose for a few seconds and then release. And you can do this anywhere from 5 to 10 times, whatever feels good for you. And again, you can start slow, do 5 maybe, and work your way up to 10. The next stretch that I'm going to show is a calf stretch. So with this stretch, there are 2 different ways that I know of to get into a calf stretch. One is you can stretch your calf by putting the ball of your foot and your toes up on a wall and do a gentle stretch on the back of your calf. Again, with this, you want to be standing upright. You can hold that for about 10 seconds and then switch. Hold for about 10 seconds. If you feel like there's too much pressure, you don't have to have your legs straight. You can have it bent, your knee bent a little bit. You don't want to overflex your knee. You just want to have a bit of a tension and a good feeling of a stretch in your calf muscle. Again, as you hold it for about 10 seconds, that was a little bit longer than 10 as I was talking. The other way to stretch, get into a calf stretch, is this is two ways you can do this. You can either, I'm going to stretch my right calf first. You can step back onto your right foot, slightly bend your left knee. Your knee should never go past your toes as you're bending. You don't want to be way forward over your toes. You need to have a little bit of a bend, and then you keep your back leg straight and your toes on both feet are going forward until you feel a little bit of a stretch in your calf. The other way that you can do this, instead of stepping backwards, is step forward. And it's the same thing. Depends on what side step you want to take and how comfortable you are stepping forward or stepping backwards. And again, you're just stretching until you feel a little bit of a stretch in your calf muscle. You can either slide your front foot back to get out of the stretch, or you can slide your back foot forward. You're going to step back and stretch. My left calf doing this, again, my knee turns slightly, move back a little bit, turn slightly. My feet are facing forward, making sure of that. My knee is slightly bent, but as you can see, it is not going past my toes. You just want to have your knee slightly bent. Again, your feet and your body are facing forward, whatever is forward in front of you. Since right now I'm at an angle, forward in front of me is the wall. And then hold that stretch. You can repeat that anywhere from 5 or 10 times. Also, depends on what will work best for you. Switch back to one camera. This next now I'm going to show an exercise. This exercise is called a wall sit. And in order to do a wall sit, you'll start with your back flat against the wall. I'm going to do this initially facing towards the camera. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to look straight ahead as I do this, because this is the proper way to do it. You don't want to be turning your neck as you're doing this. So I'm going to be looking straight ahead. Move your feet out about 2 feet from the wall. Your feet are hip distance apart. And then with your back against the wall, you will slide down into a 90-degree angle. I'm going to turn the other monitor back on. There we go. So my feet are out about hip distance apart and out about 2 feet in front of me. And then what you're going to do, and only go down as far as you are comfortable. At first, I would not recommend going all the way down into a 90-degree angle. Eventually, the goal would be to be at a 90-degree angle with your knees over your ankles, not forward, not back. Your back up against the wall, your shoulders against the wall. And with this, you can hold this for anywhere from a few seconds up to a couple minutes. There are wall sit competitions. When you want to come out, you'll just slowly kind of move your way up the wall. Again, what I would recommend is, as you start this, if you're not sure how strong your calf muscles and your abdomen muscles will be, don't go all the way down into a 90-degree angle. Just go down until you feel comfortable. Your back is pressed up against the wall. Your ab muscles are contracting in to keep your back flat against the wall so your back isn't arching out. and your calf muscles are engaged to also keep you in place. When you're done with that stretch, bring yourself up the wall and then bring your feet back in. You can hold that for, again, anywhere from 10 to 15 seconds. I know there are competitions where people will hold, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, even longer. That is not the goal of today. Today is just about stretching and strengthening our muscles. We're not here to compete with anybody. The last one that I have today is a calf raise. I discovered Saturdays as practicing a new dance that I need to do more calf raises. So with the calf raise, as you're practicing your calf raise, again, your feet should be about hip distance apart, because pretend you're going to be practicing for holding your step or your stance as if you're in, let's say, in the waltz position. But with this, you'll raise up on your calves and down, up and down. I would recommend doing 8 or 10 in a row, and then stop for a second, and then if you can, do 8 or 10 more. And then stop. That way you're doing repetition. You can see how your legs are feeling, if your calves or your glutes or your quads are starting to start to scream at you a little bit. Pausing in between the different sets is good. And you may only want to start with 1 or 2 sets. It just depends on how your calf muscles feel. After you do the calf raises, again, remember you've got the option to do your calf stretches, which is always good to do after the stretching, strengthening exercise. So I'm stretching my calves again. Now I started today by doing the stretching exercises and then did the 2 strengthening exercises. You have your choice. Go back to one monitor. It's your choice as to how you'd want to do your stretching. A lot of times it is very good to do your stretching first, so you can do your stretching, then do your exercises, and then stretch again. It never hurts to stretch too much. Well, let me rephrase that. It's always a good thing to stretch multiple times. I will briefly go back over the exercises. We have the neck stretch. You're stretching your head from side to side. You're holding that for about 10 seconds on each side. You do that, repeat that about 5 times. We did I showed the standing hamstring stretch, where you're stretching forward. Remember to have your hands on your legs as you stretch forward. You'll be looking forward, looking in front of you, and then down. Eventually, as your flexibility improves, the goal will be to be able to bring your hands behind your legs as a further stretch. I also showed a butterfly stretch where you're sitting on the ground, have your soles of your feet together, bring your legs in a little bit to get a little bit of a tension, and then gently from your waist lean forward over your legs to get a stretch again in your back, your legs. The shoulder squeeze. Now the shoulder squeeze, you have multiple ways to do this. Paper doesn't want to stick there. With the shoulder squeeze, if you're uncomfortable with sitting on the floor to do that, on the ground to do that, and not able to get your legs bent and your feet flat on the ground, like I wasn't, because I need to do more flexibility. You can also stand up straight and practice this stretch by just bringing your hands straight down your back if you're able to connect them together. If you're able to interlock your fingers but not put your palms together, again, just bring your hands down your back till the arms are straight. Bring your arms out to feel the stretch and bring your shoulder blades together. You can also do this. This can also be done in a seated position in a chair. The last stretch that I showed was the calf stretch, where your foot can be placed against the wall to stretch the calf. The other way to do that would be to step back and stretch your calf. For strengthening actually I need to bring that camera back on. I will bring that camera back up. For the strengthening exercises, it's doing a wall sit where your back is against the wall. Eventually, your legs will be at a 90-degree angle. Your feet are hip distance apart and out about 2 feet from the wall. Your back needs to be flat against the wall, so you will have to most likely do a pelvic tilt and tuck your back in and engage your ab muscles to keep your back up against the wall. When you are ready to get out of this hold, you will slowly bring yourself back up the wall and bring your feet back in to bring you up. Now, if at any point you have any kind of tingling or twinging in your knees, stop immediately and don't do that exercise. The next exercise are calf raises. I'm standing slightly at an angle so you can see this. And you're going up and down, just straight up and down with the calf exercises. These can be done in repetitions of 8, and then once you're done with the 8, stop for a second until you're used to doing this. And then you can do another repetition of 8. And then stop again, kind of get a feel for check and see how you're feeling. And those are the strengthening and stretching exercises for today. These exercises are exercises that, as I was searching for what are good exercises for dancers to do, these are some of the exercises that I did find on different websites as recommended for dancers to do to help improve their flexibility and strength. That is the dance lesson for today. It's not a dance lesson. It is more, again, of a stretching and strength exercises. I hope you had enjoyed this, and I look forward to having our next, trying to read the paper and talk at the same time, and I'm not reading and talking, doing it the same way. I look forward to holding our next dance lesson next Monday. We will start learning a line dance for a waltz, and I hope you enjoy this. Thank you very much, and have a great night.